8 mistakes I stopped making to be more organized at home. Like this, without beating around the bush, because this video is for you, who can no longer stand feeling that your home is an endless chaos. And I'm going to say it straight, if you keep making these mistakes, your home is never going to be organized, no matter how much you clean, no matter how many organizers you buy, or how many hours you spend arranging things. I lived it. I got tired of going around the same routine, picking up, putting away, organizing, cleaning, and a few hours later feeling that everything was just as messy. That exhaustion you feel, that frustration when you trip over something in the hallway, when you open a drawer and useless objects fall on you, when you look at your closet and it looks like it's exploding even though you swear you have nothing to wear. I know what that silent anger means of seeing that your home, instead of giving you peace, steals your energy every day. I know what it is to feel that your home is more a battlefield than a refuge. And I also know that many times you hide it, because you don't want others to notice the chaos, but inside it hurts you. The good news is that there is a way out. I went through that myself, and one day I decided that I couldn't go on like that anymore. And I made it. Not with magic solutions, but with real steps, with radical and simple changes that transformed my home. That's why today I'm going to show you the 8 mistakes I stopped making, and that made me a more organized person at home. I'm going to tell them to you without softening anything, because I want you to feel it, I want it to hurt, because only when it hurts do we really react. The first mistake was accumulating clothes, just in case. I'm sure it sounds familiar. Those clothes you keep because someday you think they will fit you, because maybe they will come back into fashion, or because they can serve as pajamas. The truth is that just in case is a silent poison that is filling your closet with disorder. I had drawers crammed with garments that I hadn't used for years, and the worst part was that they made me feel that I never had anything to wear. It's absurd, isn't it? Having a full wardrobe and feeling that you have nothing to put on. That happens because among so many useless garments, the clothes that do work get lost, get wrinkled, get mixed up. Also, every time I looked for something, I lost time rummaging through piles of useless clothes. It was like fighting every day against my own closet. And all because of fear of letting go. The day I decided to drop that fear and take out all those unnecessary clothes, my life changed. I'm not going to lie to you, at first it hurts to part with things, but afterwards it's liberating. The space opens up, the mind clears, and you realize that you really need much less than you thought. The solution is tough but simple. If you didn't use it in a year, you're not going to use it, period. Take it out, give it away, donate it, but don't keep storing it. And I promise you will feel immediate relief. The second mistake was keeping containers without a lid. This is a kitchen classic and I'm sure it happens to you too. That drawer full of useless plastics, with lids that don't fit, stained or deformed containers that you never use again. I had so many that every time I wanted to store food, I got angry because I had to rummage through everything and I never found the one that worked. Do you know how many minutes a day I lost looking for a container in good condition? Too many. And those minutes, multiplied by weeks, were hours that I simply threw in the trash. The frustration was constant. The solution was radical. I threw away all the containers that didn't have their corresponding lid and I kept only a small, practical set in good condition. From that day on, my container drawer stopped being a nightmare. Now I open and find what I need in seconds. It's visual order, it's mental order, and it's time gained. Sometimes we think that having more gives us security, but the truth is that having just enough and in good condition gives us peace of mind. The third mistake was clinging to broken or meaningless ornaments. This point especially hurt me because I thought I was decorating. I had cracked frames, little figurines without value, travel souvenirs that I didn't even like, but that I felt I had to keep there, because they were memories. Do you know what they achieved? Making my home look messy, overloaded, and even sad. Every time I saw them, they generated visual noise, a bad mood, and that feeling that my living room was never finished. The truth is that many of those ornaments had no real emotional value, they were simply accumulated things. The day I decided that my home deserved to look beautiful for me and not to accumulate dust, my living room changed completely. I kept few ornaments, the ones I really like, and that makes sense, and I discovered that less is more. Today my home breathes, it looks more spacious, and I feel calmer. The solution here is clear. If it's broken, dirty, or doesn't give you joy, it has no reason to stay in your home. The fourth mistake was keeping expired medications. And here I'm not just talking about order, I'm talking about safety. I had a drawer full of bottles and boxes that, when I checked them, were all past their date. It's a huge danger. Imagine that one day you have an emergency, you take an expired pill and you don't realize it. It's a risk to your health and your family's. Besides, they take up space, create disorder, and give the false feeling that you are prepared, when in reality you are not. The day I got strict, I took out everything expired, organized the medications that were still valid in a single container, and decided to check them every so often. Since then, I not only have more order, but also peace of mind. I know that what is in that drawer really works and that, if I need it, it will help me, not put me at risk. The solution is simple. One container with organized medications, checked every 6 months, and you will never have that problem again. The fifth mistake was accumulating supermarket bags as if they were a treasure. Yes, those bags that we keep, because they might be useful, and that end up taking up a drawer, a piece of furniture, or even a corner of the kitchen. I had so many that it looked like they reproduced on their own. And the worst part is that when I really needed one, I never found the right one. That disorder made me angry, and also embarrassed when someone opened the drawer and saw the chaos. The solution was simple. I kept only a few good quality reusable bags and eliminated the rest. Now I not only have a clear drawer, but I also save money because I always use the same sturdy bags. It's a small change, but it makes a big difference in the feeling of order in your kitchen. The sixth mistake was keeping jars and glass containers to use later. This point marked me a lot because I realized how such a small habit could have so much impact on the disorder in my home. I want you to be completely honest with yourself. How many times have you finished a jar of jam, a can of coffee, or a glass bottle and instead of recycling it, you kept it thinking that someday it would be useful to you? We convince ourselves with phrases like, "It can serve me to store rice," "This jar is pretty, maybe I'll use it to decorate," or "Someday I'll do a craft with this." But the truth is that someday never comes. It's a lie we tell ourselves to justify accumulation. What seems practical at the moment becomes a silent problem over time. The jars start piling up in the kitchen, on the shelves, in the pantry, and what could have been a free space turns into a chaotic corner full of glass. And here is an important detail. Glass is not light like plastic, it's heavy, it takes up a lot of space, and worst of all, it's fragile. I had entire bags full of jars of all sizes. They were in the lower part of the pantry, and every time I opened that door, I felt a blow of frustration and even shame with myself. I knew they were there, I knew they occupied valuable space, but I did nothing about it because I thought that someday I was going to use them. Does it sound familiar to you? That someday was self-deception. Months went by, even years, and the jars were still there, taking up space, collecting dust and making me feel guilty every time I saw them. And when I ever tried to use them, it ended up being uncomfortable. The lids didn't close well, they were impractical sizes, and in the end they only gave me more work. The worst of all was the risk. More than once one broke, and the danger of having broken glass in the kitchen is something that no housewife should allow. The day I decided to face that accumulation was like taking a weight off my shoulders. I sat down in front of those bags of jars and forced myself to ask a simple but powerful question. Do I really use these jars? The answer was a resounding no. I recognized that I only needed a few for specific things, like storing spices or having a pretty jar for sugar, and the rest was pure accumulation disguised as usefulness. I kept 2 or 3 jars that really served me in my daily routine and took the rest to recycling. And here comes the most surprising thing. Nothing bad happened. I didn't miss them, I didn't regret it for a single day, and what did happen was something incredible. The kitchen started to look clearer, more orderly, easier to clean. That space that used to embarrass me now gives me peace every time I open it. I discovered that I don't need an army of empty containers to feel prepared, because true preparation is not in accumulating, but in having just what's necessary in order. I want to leave you with a practical exercise. Open right now that corner of your kitchen where you have the accumulated jars. Take them all out and put them on the table. Look at them head on. Ask yourself, how many of these do I really use? Keep only those that truly have a concrete purpose and eliminate the rest. And I want you to feel the relief when you see the empty space that opens up, because that emptiness is not loss, it is gain. It is space gained for you, for your peace, for your order. Because at the end of the day, an orderly kitchen is not achieved by accumulating containers, just in case. An orderly kitchen is achieved with firm decisions, with the courage to let go and with the clarity to understand that less is more. When you stop keeping useless jars, you not only gain physical space, you also gain mental freedom. The seventh mistake was accumulating old magazines, newspapers, and brochures. And I want to pause here because this mistake, although it seems harmless, is one of the most toxic and exhausting that I had in my home. I call it a silent poison because it not only affects physical order, but directly attacks your mind and your peace. It is a mistake that gradually invades every corner without you noticing. It starts with a magazine on the coffee table, a newspaper you leave to read later in the kitchen, a supermarket flyer you keep because it has interesting offers, or a product catalog that someone left at your door. And so, in a matter of weeks, you already have piles of papers scattered throughout the house. The worst part was not only the visual disorder they caused. Of course it was annoying to enter the living room and see the coffee table full of magazines, open the TV cabinet and find papers, or feel that the kitchen was invaded by wrinkled flyers. But what was truly exhausting was the feeling of guilt that those piles of paper generated in me. Every time I saw them, I felt that I had a pending task, as if they were silent reminders of things I hadn't done. I have to read that magazine, I have to check those offers, someday I'll look at that catalog calmly. It was like having little ghosts in my home constantly reminding me that I was behind, that I wasn't keeping up with something. That mental burden is exhausting, and many times we are not aware of how much it weighs on us until we eliminate it. To that guilt was added the physical effect. Those piles of papers attracted dust, made my living room look dirty even if it was clean, and even worsened my allergies. And here's a detail you may not have noticed. Accumulated papers always give the image of neglect, even if your home is spotless in other respects. A table with papers gives an immediate feeling of disorder, even if everything else is shining. It was as if those magazines and newspapers had the power to ruin all the effort I put into keeping my home clean. The day I decided to face that poison was a before and after. I armed myself with large bags and, without thinking too much, I started recycling everything old. It was like tearing off bandages I had been wearing for no reason. With every magazine that went out, with every newspaper that disappeared, I felt that I was getting back not only physical space, but air, energy, and mental clarity. Suddenly, my living room looked more spacious, my coffee table could breathe, and my dining room looked like new. But the most powerful thing was the inner feeling. For the first time in a long time, I stopped feeling that I had pending tasks lurking from every corner. That was one of the greatest releases I experienced. That's why I say with total sincerity that this was the change that marked me the most. Because I not only freed physical space, I also freed mental space. I realized that those piles of papers were invisible chains that kept me trapped in a constant state of stress. When I eliminated them, my mind was freed along with my home. And here is the most valuable lesson. Every object we keep has an emotional weight. And in the case of magazines, newspapers, and brochures, that weight is that of guilt, procrastination, and the feeling of not being up to date. The solution I found was simple but powerful. Every paper that enters your home must have an immediate decision. Either it's useful and is stored in a specific place, or it's recycled at that very moment. No middle terms, no excuses. If you don't read it today, you're not going to read it tomorrow or next month. If the offer is really good, you can see it at the moment and that's it, you don't need the paper stored. If you didn't look at the catalog right then, you're not going to look at it later. This rule completely changed my relationship with papers. Today I no longer have mountains of magazines and newspapers bothering me in every corner, and my mind is much calmer. And I want you to think about this. How many papers do you have right now in your home that are only taking up space and stealing your peace? How many times have you felt that guilt of seeing an unread magazine or a flyer that has already lost its validity? Imagine what your living room would look like if that table were completely clear, with nothing on it, just the ornament you like the most. Imagine how it would feel to enter your home and not see papers anywhere. That peace is within your reach. You just need to make the decision. That's why I say, without a doubt, that this is my favorite trick. Because by eliminating old papers, you not only organize your home, you organize your mind. And believe me, There is no feeling more liberating than that. The eighth mistake was keeping worn-out tablecloths, towels, and sheets. And I want to go deeper here because this is one of the most common mistakes in practically every home, and also one of the most difficult to recognize. We tell ourselves that there's nothing wrong with keeping an old towel for emergencies, that those rough sheets still work a little, or that stained tablecloth can still hold up to use it in a quick lunch. And yes, it's true, in the short term they can fulfill a minimal function, but the question is, at what cost? What we often don't see is that those worn textiles are the silent culprits of our cabinets always looking saturated, disorganized, and even sad. I myself had a closet that seemed about to explode, full of towels with holes, rough sheets that no one wanted to use anymore, and tablecloths that I was ashamed to put on the table. And here is the hardest part. Every time I opened that closet, what I felt was not abundance, it was shame. It gave me the feeling that I had nothing worthy to use, even though the piece of furniture was full. And that feeling is terrible because it robs you of self-esteem. It makes you feel that you don't deserve something better, that you have to settle for the old. That conformism disguises itself as practicality. We think we are being responsible by keeping things for emergencies. But in reality we are condemning ourselves to live with things that have already completed their cycle and that now only subtract space and energy. Because it's not just about how those textiles look, but about what they provoke in you. An old towel doesn't dry well, a stained tablecloth ruins the image of your table, and rough sheets don't let you rest as you deserve. And tell me, what sense does it make to keep keeping things that don't fulfill their function and that, besides, make you feel bad? The day I decided to let go of the worn out, everything changed. It was an act of courage because, believe me, it's hard to let go. But as soon as I took the old out of my closet, I discovered that having less, but in good condition, is enough. My cabinets were transformed. They stopped looking crammed and chaotic to become clear spaces where everything there truly serves. And best of all is what I felt inside me. Suddenly, when I opened the towel drawer, I no longer had to rummage among holes and stains, but I immediately found the ones I liked. Every time I chose a tablecloth, I felt proud to put it on my table. And every night, when I went to bed, I could enjoy soft, clean sheets that made me rest better. That, believe me, is priceless. And here I want you to understand something important. It's not about spending a fortune to replace everything at once. It's about keeping what really serves, little by little, and letting go of what has already completed its cycle. Maybe today you can invest in a good quality set of sheets and get rid of 2 old ones. Or buy yourself a couple of new towels and eliminate the ones that no longer dry. Or simply choose the tablecloth that makes you feel proud and take out the others that only take up space. It's a process, not a massive expense. And every step you take, no matter how small, transforms your home and your mood. The effect is immediate. Your cabinets look organized, you find everything in seconds, and most importantly, you begin to feel proud of what you have. Because order is not only visual, it's also emotional. Every time you choose to surround yourself with things in good condition, you are sending yourself a clear message. I deserve the best, even if it's little, but let it be worthy. And that message is powerful. It helps you regain confidence in yourself and enjoy your home in a completely different way. The solution is practical and direct. Keep a couple of sets of sheets in good condition, towels that you really use and enjoy, and tablecloths that you are pleased to put on your table. The old, the broken, and the stained no longer have a place in your home. Because if your home is your refuge, it cannot be full of textiles that only remind you of lack. Every time you choose the best and let go of the worn out, you will be taking a step towards a more organized, simpler, and much happier life. So here is the truth. Being more organized at home does not depend on having a bigger closet, nor on buying fashionable organizers, nor on spending hours cleaning non-stop. Being more organized depends on stopping making these mistakes. I stopped making them and my life changed. Today my home is not only more organized, it is also easier to maintain. Every space has air, has peace, and I can breathe calmly. I don't live for my home lives for me. That's what I want you to achieve too. And I know you can do it, because these changes don't cost money, they don't need magic, only decision. I want you to think for a moment, how many of these mistakes are you making in your home right now? How many drawers do you have full of clothes you don't use, useless containers, ornaments you don't like, expired medications, multiplying bags, jars you never use, papers that overwhelm you, or textiles that no longer serve. If you recognize any of these in your home, then this is your moment to act. Don't wait any longer. Do it today. Start with just one, the one that bothers you the most, and you will be surprised at the domino effect that is generated. When you eliminate one mistake, your home changes, your mood changes, and your life changes. And before finishing, I want to speak to you directly, housewife who is listening to me. I know that many times you feel alone in this battle against disorder. You feel that your family doesn't help, that you pick up and nothing changes, that you are trapped in a routine that never ends. I was there too. And I want to tell you that you are not alone. We are here together, sharing these experiences, and I want this channel to be your space to find real, practical, and proven solutions. That's why, if this video made you reflect, if it hurt you but motivated you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like so that more housewives like you can transform their home into a place of peace. And leave me a comment telling me which of these mistakes you are making right now and which one you are going to stop doing first. I will love to read you, because together we can build a community of women who decide to regain control of their home and their life. Share this video with your friend, your sister, or your neighbor who always complains that her home is a disaster, because I'm sure she needs it too. And don't forget to activate the little bell, because in the next videos I'm going to continue sharing more tricks, more experiences, and more solutions that will help you have an organized home without feeling that it's an eternal sacrifice. Remember, your home is not a garbage dump of useless things, it is not a museum of broken objects, it is not a warehouse of just in case. Your home is your refuge, your place of peace, the space where your family and you deserve to be calm. And to achieve it, you only need one thing: stop making these mistakes. I did it, and if I could, you can too.